it's supposed to be like 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. My part of the talk is on building psychological resilience through understanding the connection between our brain and our mind. So my part of the talk is just half of the talk, and later half of the talk will be done by Hui Hua. She's right behind. She's our nutrition expert, and most of you know who she is. So she is going to share about brain nutrition. Okay, and so firstly, I appreciate every one of you to be here, to spend your time with me, to allow me this opportunity to learn. Okay, and me being here is not like I know a lot, or that I'm the best person to talk about this. But me being here is for the best way to learn. I read somewhere is to actually talk about it and to teach each other. Yeah, correct. So as I'm here, I'm interacting with you, I'm learning from you as well. So I'd like us to really be comfortable with each other. Maybe look at each other, introduce if you know each other better. If you don't know, even better. So you're making new friends by just being here. Okay, so maybe a bit of introductions about myself. As you can see here, I'm a psychotherapist. So what this means is that I'm a mental health counselor. So sometimes I like to introduce myself as a mental health counselor because psychotherapist has a kind of like a bad name to it if you break it up, you know. So sometimes people tease me with that. But essentially, a psychotherapist is a mental health counselor. We talk to people to try to understand what is the feeling level. So I'm all about feeling here. So feeling anxious, feeling angry, feeling sad, and everything. It's a bit anti our culture lah. That's what I think. Yeah, because all this while, feeling can be perceived as a weakness. That's what I see in our culture. But here I'm going to share with you why feeling is so important for our mental health, for our brain health, and how by knowing different parts of our brain is able to help us in our mental well-being. Alright, so to begin with, I'd like to ask you questions, and I'd like you to share with me how many of you here feel happy when you move around? Great, okay. How many of you gets reminded of someone when you hear a song? Yeah? Yeah, you can remember the feeling and all. Alright, do you know why? Why is that the case? So this is something that I will share with you. Moving on. Okay. I have two screens to actually take care of. Alright, I'm going to share with you. This is probably the most intensive, informationally intensive, there's such a word, slide of all slides. A lot of information here, so bear with me. Going through this slide, I was sharing with my dear staff and my only staff over there, Jenna. You have met Jenna already. That talking about this is like trying to squeeze the knowledge of a universe to a page. Right? Because our brain is such a complex organ. You know, there's so much to talk about it. But I try to make it as simple as possible by sharing with you a hand model. Alright, all of you raise up your hand right now. Your hand right now. Okay, put your thumb inward like this and close it up together. This is the hand model. Yay! Alright, so as I'm explaining the different parts of our brain, I'd like you to touch your hand so that you can easily remember the parts of the brain in your hand. Okay? Alright, so this is just half of your brain. And so this is representing this picture here. Alright, okay, so here is the top part of your brain, which is represented here, this part. This is the cerebral cortex, right, our advanced brain. And then opening up, this part is called the limbic brain, the limbic area. Okay, limbic. Okay, maybe I write it down, yeah? Oops. Okay, so this is the limbic area. It is very much all our emotional activities happen here mostly. And then we have the brain stem. Alright. Okay. So the brain stem is this part here. Yeah. This is kind of like part of brain stem, but it actually you can put it together. This is cerebellum over here. And alright, so I'm going to explain from bottom up. Okay, starting from brain stem. Okay, so brain stem is essentially in charge of our autonomic functions like breathing, our respiratory functions, our digestion. Right, and to keep it very simple, and it's also involved in our fight, flight, freeze, faint, respond. Okay, again, if you can remember, speak with me. Fight, flight, freeze, faint, respond. Okay, one more time. Fight, flight, freeze, faint, respond. Good, you see, you're participating, you can remember better, right? Okay, so basically it is a very primitive part of our brain. It's the first part of the brain that's being formed in our body. It's without our control, without our conscious control. So if we sense danger, the moment we sense danger, our brainstem will launch into action. You know, like an animal that has tiger launching, trying to kill the animal, immediately the animal faints. Maybe because there's no escape. So that is the only way out. You know, by fainting, the tiger may think that the animal has died. Right? So this is a survival instinct. So this part of the brain is in charge of our survival. Alright? Moving upward. So again, this is called limbic area. Okay? So the limbic area is the second oldest part of the brain. So brain stem is 300 million year old. Limbic area is 200 million year old. Alright. And limbic area, there is this, if you talk to a psychiatrist, you know, people in the mental health profession, they will highlight this part of the brain called, is here. Okay, this is actually 2 dots right above the brainstem, and this 2 dot is called amygdala. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for sitting in front. Right, don't worry. Take a deep breath. Okay, all is good. Okay, so amygdala. Amygdala is actually in our limbic area. It is like a watchtower. Watchtower to look out for danger. So like I can see very far what's going on. Is there going to be a fire? If there's a fire, the amygdala will start firing and send out signal to all parts of the brain, to the rest of our body, danger, danger. Right? So for people who feel very anxious, very fearful, it's because even though there's no reasons to be fearful, it's because amygdala is under an overdrive. So the amygdala cannot rest. It keeps firing signal to the rest of the body. So sometimes the psychiatrist may give you medication to calm down the activity in amygdala. Yeah? And together with amygdala, amygdala work with this part of the brain that's in charge of our long-term memory. So the long-term memory is somewhere here. Okay, it is called
hippocampus.
Exactly. Okay, who is the one who said that? Great.
Reward.
Okay, yes, reward. Reward for participation. Yeah, for this gentleman here.
Oh, really?
Now you get it. Surprise reward will help with totally encourage more participation. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so hippocampus. Hippocampus is our long-term memory, is the part of the memory that don't go away even with time. Why is that so? Because, you know, when we were really young, this is the part of the brain that start developing. So early childhood memories, all right, it actually stay with us, consciously or unconsciously. It's working in the background, and together with amygdala. So amygdala tells like this part of the brain, hippocampus, what to store in, relevant information to store in. So the limbic area is where our early attachment experience is being stored. Yeah, and therefore it's very hard for people just to tell people like, hey, it's years ago. You know, something happened years ago. You should just get over it, because it's been stored in this part of the memory. It is deep, deep inside the memory. And if we say get over it, we are actually using the frontal cortex, which I'm going to share with you right now. This is now together with me, touch the top part of the brain, yeah? The cerebral cortex. Okay, the cerebral cortex has got 4 loops. 4 loops, just let me write down. Okay. Okay, so you are looking at me right now, yeah? So you're actually taking in visual information. This visual information is being screened to the back of your head, somewhere right above your brainstem. So it's around here. Okay, and this is the occipital loop. So you can see that the top part of the brain is actually there are 4 main loops. So it's like a piece of cloth that you put it together, fold it together. It actually is very big, but because you fold it together, it's able to squeeze into our skull. Alright, so this is the most advanced part of our brain. And then to integrate all the senses, like the visual senses that we are having, the touch, the smell, and all, you need this loop called so this is where the map, we form a map, a visual map, and it is called sorry, this is actually T. Okay, sorry. So it's a bit of information, but the reason why I'm sharing with you all this is because you're aware of your brain parts, and when you're aware of your brain parts, you're able to direct your intention to activate your brain parts. And when you activate it, you are able to draw connection from one part of the brain to another part of the brain. Okay, and why do we do that? We do that so that we can have integration. And integration is the hallmark of mental wellness. Alright, and that's the reason why I'm sharing with you the different parts of the brain. Okay, but I don't want to bore you because all of you look a bit sleepy right now with the information. So it's important that it is meaningful for you. Then you can remember better. And talking about meaning, which part of the brain, just make a guess, which part of the brain is involved in meaning making? I have not shared about it yet, just in case one of you know, then I don't have to explain so much. Which part of the brain do you think is involved in meaning making? Right, so I'm asking you a question so you can pay attention. Okay, it's actually here. So touch this part here. Yeah. So this part, right above, at the back of our eye, slightly above, right, in the middle. So you can think like two brain joining together. It is this middle part. There's a middle part here. All right. This part of the brain is called prefrontal cortex. How many of you have heard of this term? Yeah, fantastic. All right. So this is actually the most advanced part of our brain because it integrates all the entire brain function and tell the rest of the brain function what to do. So this is where personality is formed. It actually processes informations and emotions. It's where your values are. You form your values through this part. Like animals don't, we are higher order animal. So we talk about values. Lower order animals, I don't know, I guess research has not shown that yet. Okay, so to recap, do you feel like, okay, now moving on. So we have the top part of the brain, which is cerebral cortex. The emotional brain, it is limbic brain. And then you have the brainstem. All right. So I'm going to share with you how, through psychotherapy, I work with these various parts of the brain. Okay? All right. How many of you will be? How many of you feel fearful or anxious if I ask you to stand on the stage right now to give a presentation to an auditorium full of people? How many of you feel anxious? Thank you. Because that makes me not alone. Yeah, so I was really terrified, like the first time when I do some talk, even yesterday I was very scared, to be honest. But you guys are wonderful, so I'm feeling less scared right now. Okay, so let's work with stage fright. Okay, so the frontal cortex, which I didn't really mention, it is right behind your forehead, is got to do with association of thoughts. So when you think about standing on the stage, what are the thoughts that comes to your mind right away? Can you just shout out what are the thoughts that come?
Maybe forget my lines or my script.
Forget your lines and script. Thank you. Can we have a little something? Yeah. So anybody else? Like what thoughts may come to you when you think about?
Fearful of saying the wrong thing.
Fearful of saying the wrong thing, yeah. How many of us may think that way? Yeah, fearful of saying it, yeah, exactly. So can we have Sophie? Yeah. Okay, and that is got to do with thoughts. Okay, so we are working top down, so top of the brain. And then the limbic area is feeling, right? Emotion. So some of you may have said fearful. So the emotion is that of fear and anxiety. Right, very common. And then what do you think happens to our body? Let me just write this down. Just shout it out.
Hands up.
Hey?
Hands up.
Hands up. All right. For this lady here. Thank you. Yeah. And what else?
Cold sweat.
Cold sweat. Yes. Sweaty palm. Start sweating around. Yeah. Anyone else?
Butterflies in the stomach.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for that. And something for this lady. So I forgot to mention that our brain is not just inside our skull. Okay. Because we have neurons all over our body, especially our heart, as well as our digestive system in our gut. So when we talk about brain, it's actually the full body, but this part that is inside the skull is called head brain. All right. Full body, we call it embodied brain. Yeah. So the body actually responds when you're feeling anxious, you have butterfly in the stomach. Yeah. Okay, so if I work with somebody who has stage fright, I may start off working with the body, right? Because when you have a high anxiety, your body reacts. your body may be breathing faster and all. It's actually reinforcing the feeling and reinforcing these thoughts. Yeah. So you can't have relaxing thoughts when your body is tense up or that you experience fast heartbeat. So that's why you heard a common advice is to take deep breath. You know, you want to take deep, slow breath, and you may want to exhale first. Have a very, very long exhale. Finish up all your breath in your lung before you take in the next breath. That is actually, so what we are doing here is intentionally directing our attention to the brainstem area. Yeah, and then moving up to the feeling level. After you take a deep breath, you may have fear, right? So a recommendation I may give to someone is to assume a power posture. Power posture. How many of you can imagine what a power posture to be like? Okay, Eddie? Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you want to be like Superman. You put your hands here, right? Pop up your chest to say, hey, I'm okay. Right? So yes, exactly. And this is actually engaging the limbic area because the limbic area is also in charge of our body